Good afternoon. I'm Dan DeRosa with 19 News, coming to you from our digital desk. We've just gotten some new renderings and new information from the Haslam Sports Group when it comes to the Cleveland Browns potentially building a dome in Brook Park. It's a big day for the Haslam Sports Group as they are in Columbus, at least representatives are, to present to the Statehouse Committee on Arts and Athletics. This is a big day in that this is when the Haslams are going to be making really their first public pitch. They've been down in Columbus several times before, holding meetings with state representatives, state senators, trying to get financial support for this stadium. When you look at the total cost of the project, and it exceeds $3 billion, the Haslams are really banking on the fact that they already have $2 billion in public-private support for this. A lot of that is the Haslam's money. A lot of that is people signing on to the project saying they would invest. So it is just that last billion, 1.2, 1.5 billion that, yes, that's a lot of money that they are needing help with. At the state level, they are asking for $600 million in state-issued bonds. It's the idea that the state has good credit. They can go out and get bonds, quote, loans, at a much more favorable rate. And the Haslams announced today, or will be announcing to the House Committee on Athletics and Arts and Athletics, that they will, and this is an unprecedented move, they will put money up front. They will give money up front to the state to cover any what would be seen as potential losses. The Haslams are saying, look, our projections are that the state is going to make way more in tax revenue than that $600 million that they're going to be asking for in bonds. But just in case, and they said this is the first stadium project in the country that would be willing to do this, to put up money up front to assure the lawmakers, the governor, that there will not be a default from the state level, even though the projections are that the state, again, would make way more money than that, but that just in case, if they're worried, this project is going to put money up front, give it to the state to give them that assurance that this is going to be an overwhelming success, according to the Haslam Sports Group. With this presentation, we have gotten our hands on the slides that will be shown to lawmakers. Some of them renderings we've seen before. There is at least one new one that is very interesting. We'll get to that. So here are the slides being presented today in Columbus by the Haslam Sports Group. This is, I believe, kind of a newer rendering that we may or may not have seen. There have been so many that you kind of get sort of numb to them. This is sort of the reassurance and what they'll be pitching for this $3.4 billion transformational sports mixed-use development district. That is a mouthful. And you can see they've got $800 million to $1 billion privately funded, and that it would be one of the largest economic development projects in Northeast Ohio history. That goes without saying. They do talk about the jobs that would be created because of this, a $2 billion private investment, and supports 6,000 construction jobs and 5,000 new and full-time jobs. And they look at this as a way to anchor the Cleveland Browns here for the next 50 years. They use this map to sort of show that this would be the only dome this far, or the first dome east in the United States. You can see on the East Coast, you've got Gillette Stadium, that's outdoors. MetLife Stadium for the Jets and the Giants outdoors. All of these here on this side of the map on the East Coast are outdoor stadiums. So ours would be the first dome. Not sure that that entirely matters, but the first dome on the eastern side of the United States. Then they show what are the drive times, the dark brown, lighter brown, and lightest browns, what it would take to drive to Cleveland. And you've got to remember that because they're calling this a mixed use, it's not just about the Browns. And when they show these drive times, think about an NCAA Final Four, think about major concerts, other projects that you would have in that area. Next, this is the one that I thought was particularly interesting as far as the renderings today that are out new. We can see the different phases, and this is really our first look at their timeline. We know that the Browns are committed to downtown through 2028. So this is the first time that we are seeing that phase one, and the Browns are saying it themselves, that it needs to be completed in 2029, of course, because the Browns need a new place to play. If you look at the red dotted line, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom this in just so that it's a little bit easier to see on some of the things I'm going to point out. So the Browns are talking about phase one, and that's just the red dotted line. You see it goes around the dome, and then you can see there's an operations building, there's parking right there, there's an event venue, there's a team store, a food hall, and an expected retail. And it kind of goes out to that main boulevard area, kind of forms kind of a weird shape there. And then all of the rest would be phase two. You can see there would be office space, retail space, lots of parking, more offices. And if we look at how they're describing this on the right side, look at phase two and phase one. Phase one looks like there would be 579 residential units, 0 office space in the first part of this, 450 rooms for hotels, and retail space would be at 230,000 square feet. Then when you get to phase two, look at the explosion in phase two, another 1,100 residential units, apartments, condos, and this is where you get office space, 500,000 square feet of office space, another 450 hotel rooms, and retail space adds another 275,000 square feet. We've already talked about the construction jobs. Full-time employment at 5,000 and construction at 6,000. So again, gives you just kind of a look. And the other reason I like this layout that we're seeing for the first time is you can see how this project butts up against Ford Plant 1. That is in the upper right-hand corner, just outside of the major parking lots on the right side. That is Ford Plant 1. That is still in operation and will be during this entire project. I'm going to get us back to fit the full screen here so we can get to some of the other renderings that are out today. We get just a couple more looks, and some of these we've already had, but they are interesting to look at nonetheless. There's a beautiful shot of the whole project. I like this rendering because you can see the proximity to the airport. A lot of people throughout this process have speculated, oh, you can't put a dome there because it's too close to the airport. Well, look at the height of the dome. Keep in mind, it will be dug down into the ground because of height concerns. But you can see those different retail, office spaces, residential spaces that lead up and around it. You've got major parking lots all around. Parking shouldn't be an issue. And you can also see where there could be development. If it got to a point to where this became such a popular area, you start taking some of those parking lots, you turn them into parking garages, and you use that land around to expand. I believe we've had this rendering before, but a look at sort of the drive up to the dome, the parking on either side for tailgating. And then this is what the retail space would look like. I've said this for a couple of months now. if you're trying to wrap your brain around this, think about putting a dome in the middle of Crocker Park. You've got living, you've got residential, you've got retail, you've got restaurants all around in this community. And then, oh yeah, there also happens to be a dome. It's what we've seen other major cities do across the country. And again, just some of the information that they're going to be pitching down in Columbus today and how this project will work. Your eyes will go crossed if you try to read the finances and how this is going to be paid for over a number of years with private and donations. Again, this is the slideshow that will be presented in Columbus today. That's why there's a slide that says questions. It happens at 4:15 today. I know we will be streaming that entire committee hearing from Columbus to really see the Browns pitch this publicly in front of state lawmakers. Of course, they've been holding meetings with state lawmakers for months and months now on this project, trying to get backing. But today is really sort of the first public way to do so. There's a lot happening in Columbus right now with the legislature in session as they are trying to hammer out the biennium budget. This is the governor's budget for the next 2 years, 26 and 27, and it goes a long way when people are asking for state funding, asking for bonds to be issued by the state, which is what the Browns and the Haslam Sports Group are doing. We wanted to get you these renderings right away. We'll have complete coverage coming up at 3 o'clock with 3.5 hours of news and first alert weather. Until then, I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News. Have a good afternoon.